At 4:47 a.m., the Yakima Valley is still dark. The air carries it before you see anything. That sharp, resinous smell. Earthy, green, almost medicinal. If you've never stood inside a hop yard at the edge of harvest, there's nothing quite like it. It's the smell of something alive and something about to end. Out here in central Washington, the valley runs roughly 70 miles long, flanked by volcanic ridgelines to the east and the Cascades to the west. The Columbia River Basin creates a dry, high desert climate. Long summer days, cold nights, low humidity. It's one of the few places in North America where hops grow the way brewers need them to grow. And right now, across more than 34,000 acres, the vines are ready. They call them bines, not vines. The distinction matters to the people who grow them. Hops grow by wrapping clockwise around twine, up to a foot per day during peak season. By late August, they've climbed 18 to 20 feet high. The trellises rise like columns across the valley floor, row after row, thousands of acres of vertical green. Today, a crew of 14 is preparing to run 4 mechanical harvesters before sunrise. Rain is forecast for day 9. They have 6 weeks total, not a day more. The first harvester rolls into position. It's a purpose-built machine, a tall, awkward-looking rig with a cutting assembly at the base. The operator lowers it onto the first row. The cutter severs the bine at the bottom. Simultaneously, a hook system at the top pulls the twine free from the overhead trellis wire. The entire bine, 18 feet of green growth, collapses into the machine's collection bin. Within seconds, the harvester moves to the next row. This is the first cut, the field harvest, and it's only the beginning of the process. Unlike many row crops, hops cannot be fully processed in the field. The bines come out too dense, too wet, too fragile. The cones, the actual hop flowers used in brewing, are tightly clustered along the length of each bine. They bruise easily. They oxidize fast. Once picked, the clock starts immediately. The harvested bines are loaded directly onto flatbed trailers, stacked high, driven to the processing facility, sometimes just a mile away, sometimes several miles across the valley floor. Speed is not optional. At the processing shed, the stationary picking machine is already running. These facilities look industrial. Conveyor belts, rotating drums, chains, fans, separation chambers. They run loud. The smell intensifies here. Raw hop resin, cut green plant material, motor oil, diesel exhaust from the trucks pulling in. Workers feed the bines into the machine's intake. From there, a series of drums and chains strips the cones from the bines. The plant material, leaves, stems, vines, gets separated and blown aside. The cones continue through, dropping onto sorting conveyors. At the sorting table, workers stand on both sides. Their job is quality control. Leaves that made it through, stem fragments, underdeveloped cones. Anything that shouldn't move forward gets pulled by hand. The pace is steady. No rushing, no idling, just constant motion. This part of hop processing is still manual. The machines can strip efficiently, but human eyes catch what sensors miss. These workers have done this before. Some for 5 years, some for 15. Their hands move without hesitation. Outside, the second and third harvesters have entered the field. The light is changing now. The Cascades to the west have caught the early sun. The valley floor is still in shadow, but the sky above is pale blue going gold. Dust rises in thin columns where the harvesters turn at row ends. From a distance, the hop yards look almost geometric. Perfect rows, uniform height, trellises casting long parallel shadows across the soil. Up close, it's dirtier. The soil here is loose, volcanic silt mixed with sand. It lifts easily. By mid-morning, a fine white-gray dust coats everything: equipment, clothing, faces. The crew leaders move between machines and trucks constantly. Radios, hand signals, short conversations. Is the bin full? Is the trailer connected? Is the moisture reading acceptable? Moisture is everything in hop harvesting. Fresh off the vine, hop cones are roughly 75 to 80% water by weight. In that condition, they cannot be stored. They cannot be shipped. They will mold within hours. The cones that look full and green right now will collapse into a rotten mass before they ever reach a brewery. The solution is the kiln. The kilns run 24 hours a day during harvest, every day, for 6 weeks. Each kiln, called an oast in older terminology, is a forced air-drying chamber. Hops are spread onto slatted floors, sometimes 18 inches deep. Hot air, typically around 140 degrees Fahrenheit, is forced upward through the mass. Operators monitor temperature carefully. Too hot, and the volatile aromatic compounds that brewers pay for begin to break down. Too low, and the moisture reduction takes too long. Target moisture for dried hops, 10%. That drop, from 80% to 10%, reduces the weight dramatically. A ton of fresh hops yields roughly 200 pounds of dried product. The volume shrinks, the cones compact, and for the first time they become stable enough to store and ship. Kiln operators walk the floors during drying cycles. They check moisture with handheld meters. They adjust airflow. They watch for hot spots. A kiln running wrong can destroy an entire batch. And during harvest season, the facilities have no margin for lost batches. When a drying cycle completes, the hops are moved to cooling rooms briefly, then transferred to baling presses. The baling press compresses dried hops into 200-pound burlap-wrapped bales. Each bale is branded with lot numbers, variety, and originating farm. These numbers matter enormously to breweries. Hop contracts in the craft beer industry are not casual purchases. Breweries sign multi-year agreements, sometimes 5 years in advance, specifying variety, quantity, and alpha acid content. The relationship between a Yakima Valley hop grower and a major American brewery is built over years, renegotiated annually, and stressed every time harvest conditions vary from projections. A wet September can reduce alpha acid development. A late frost in spring can set back vine growth. A heat event in August can push harvest earlier than expected, compressing an already narrow window even further. This season's forecast has held mostly. The rain on day 9 will cost some field hours, but the crews have built margin where they can. Lunch break runs 30 minutes. Crew members eat in the shade of a processing shed wall. Water bottles, sandwiches, fruit. Conversations are brief, not unfriendly, just compact. These are working hours, and the afternoon will move faster than the morning. One equipment operator has been running harvesters in this valley for 22 years. He knows the rows here the way someone knows a road they've driven every day for 2 decades. The soft corners, the spots where the soil compresses differently, the trellises that run slightly off plumb on the eastern edge of the North Block. He doesn't talk about it much. It's just what he knows. That kind of knowledge, field-specific, accumulated, practical, doesn't exist in a manual. It passes from operator to operator, season to season. The processing shed has been running for over 8 hours without stopping. Vine intake on the east side, cone separation mid-facility, sorting line on the west wall, kiln loading through the back. It's a sequential system, and the throughput has to stay balanced. Back up one station, and the whole chain slows. The facility manager walks the line every 30 minutes, not micromanaging, reading, watching belt speeds, listening to the machines. A change in sound often precedes a mechanical failure by several minutes. Experienced operators learn to hear the difference. At 2:51, a conveyor belt shows early signs of tension misalignment. A crew mechanic has it corrected in 14 minutes. Harvest resumes. 14 minutes. That's acceptable. An hour would not be. Across the valley, other operations are running the same cycle. The Yakima Valley is not one farm. It's dozens of independent growing operations, family farms, corporate growing operations, multi-generational family enterprises, all working the same narrow window at the same time. The valley produces approximately 75% of all hops grown in the United States. The varieties grown here include Cascade, Centennial, Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe, names that appear on craft beer labels across the country, often without context about where they originated or how narrow the window was to produce them. Every pint of American craft beer that carries hop character, the bitterness, the aroma, the tropical notes, the piney edge, traces back in large part to this valley and this harvest. 6 weeks. That's the window. The afternoon light has gone amber. Long shadows cross the remaining standing rows. The fourth harvester finishes its last pass of the day and comes off the field. The operator runs a slow check. Hydraulics, cutter bar condition, collection bin. He notes what needs attention overnight. The mechanic will be there before dawn. Trucks have been running since first light. Today's haul, approximately 18 loads from this operation alone. Bales are stacking in the storage facility. The kiln will run through the night. The field is nearly quiet. One processing shift continues inside. Somewhere across the valley, other facilities are still at full operation, running their own machines, their own kilns, their own sorting lines. The harvest doesn't sleep until the window closes. In a few weeks, the bines will be gone. The trellises will stand empty. The twine will be rolled and stored. The soil will rest through the winter, cold, volcanic, already preparing for next year's planting. Across the country, in breweries from Vermont to Oregon, purchasing managers are tracking incoming shipments, checking lot numbers against contracts, confirming delivery timelines, planning production schedules around inventory that didn't exist 2 weeks ago. By the end of the 6-week harvest, the Yakima Valley will have processed and shipped enough hops to supply a significant share of American brewing production for the coming year. The bales will move by refrigerated freight, temperature-controlled, because even dried hops degrade without proper storage, to distribution points and directly to breweries. The valley's total hop acreage will have turned over completely, every row harvested, every kiln cycled, every bale numbered and logged. Then the field goes quiet. The trellises stand empty against the Cascade ridgeline until next season. Under this video, there's a subscribe button. It's a small action, but it helps document the work that happens before the shelves are stocked. If you're drawn to the rhythm of the harvest, to the crews who move with the seasons, subscribing simply means you want to see how America feeds itself. And tell us, where are you watching from? Have you ever worked a harvest? Have you seen one? Share your experience below. That's how these stories travel.